I took an Uber home from a work happy hour last Friday. It was only a 10-minute ride, so I didn't pay much attention to the nondescript driver. But when I went to get out, my foot bumped something on the floor mat. A smartphone. "Excuse me, I think you dropped your phone," I said, leaning forward to pick it up. The driver glanced back, confused. "That's not mine." I turned the phone over. It was cracked and scratched up with no case. "Oh, my bad. Must have been a previous passenger," I replied, pocketing it. "I'll turn it into Uber Lost and Found." The driver just nodded and drove off. When I got inside, I decided to charge the mystery phone and see if I could identify the owner to return it. But things got weird fast. Once it powered on, I saw there were 0 installed apps, no contacts, photos, or account info either. I opened the text messages, hoping to find a clue. There was only one conversation, with a strange contact name listed as The End. My hair stood on end reading through the texts. They were counting down days until an unnamed event was set to happen, like 30 days left. It's getting closer. 25 days now. Just 2 weeks remain. Whoever had this phone was talking with someone counting down to something. But the event was never specified. I scrolled to the most recent texts from a few days ago. 6 days remain. The wait is nearly over. Final preparations being made. Fulfillment coming. I felt a growing sense of dread. This seemed like some coded conversation planning something sinister. Should I go to the police? But just then a new text came in from The End, giving me chills. 2 days left until it arrives. Are you ready? My hands shook. Somehow they knew I had the phone now. I tried to remain calm and wrote back, "I found this phone left in an Uber. What is happening in 2 days?" I waited anxiously for a reply. Finally, 3 dots popped up as they were typing. "A new order is coming that only the worthy will survive. You now hold the instrument to prepare." Before I could even ponder what that meant, another message followed. "Go to the King Street subway station. Descend to the closed lower platform. Wait for the 5:23 train, board it, and instructions will come." Then the number signed off with one final chilling text. "You're part of this now." I sat frozen in disbelief and terror reading the nonsensical demands. This had to be some cruel prank meant to torment strangers who found the phone. But how did they know I had it so fast? Were they tracking it? I put the phone on my nightstand, hands shaking. Whatever this person had planned, I wanted no part of it, but I was scared to go to the police and be accused of something dangerous. I tried putting it out of my mind the next day, but late that night the phone buzzed again. Against my better judgment, I picked it up and looked at the text that was sent. One new text waited. "1 day left, do not be late." Attached was a photo of the subway platform they wanted me to go to. Now I was truly panicking. These people wanted me to meet them, whoever they were, and that abandoned station in the picture was super creepy. I decided I had to get rid of the phone for good. The next morning, I rode my bike far from my neighborhood and tossed the device into a trash can in a random parking lot. Relief washed over me as I sped away. But it was short-lived. That night, as I was washing dishes, my landline rang from an unknown caller. I cautiously answered. There was only eerie silence on the other end. "Hello?" I said nervously. Still no reply. I hung up, pulse racing. Moments later, my cell buzzed. It was a text from the same number on the phone I found. That wasn't wise. "You cannot escape the order of events now in motion." Attached was a blurry photo of someone in a hoodie riding a bike on the street. I realized with horror it was me earlier disposing of the phone. They knew what I had done. They were following me. I was dealing with something beyond pranks here. Some dangerous group coordinating an unknown event. I called the police to come immediately. Within minutes, 2 officers arrived and I showed them the disturbing texts. But all they did was take my statement and say it was likely just a gag by some immature kids. I barely slept that night. All the lights on, baseball bat beside my bed. The next day, the texts resumed demanding I go to the station platform at 5:23 p.m. or else face grave consequences. I was a panicked wreck all day, paralyzed with fear over what they might do if I disobeyed again. As the final hours ticked down, I decided I had to know what this was all about. How else could I make it stop if the police wouldn't help? So that evening, hands shaking, I forced myself to catch the subway downtown and transfer until I reached the abandoned platform in the photo. It was empty and dark, just bare concrete walls with trash strewn about. I checked the time, 5:17. The mystery train would be here in minutes if it was really coming. I hid behind a pillar, peering down the tunnel for any sign of an approaching engine. 5:23 came and went with no train arriving, just dead silence on the platform. I finally let out a breath of relief. It was all just an elaborate prank after all. I hesitantly stepped out to head home, keeping my eyes peeled for anyone hiding. But before I could reach the exit, I felt a presence suddenly behind me. I spun around and came face to face with someone wearing a black executioner hood, towering over me ominously. They held up a sign that just read "Too late" before moving slowly toward me. I stumbled backward, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. The executioner kept coming, cornering me against the platform edge. I knew I had to fight. As it lunged towards me, I swung my fist hard into the side of the hood. The figure crumpled with a pained grunt, clutching its face. Seeing my chance, I launched over it towards the exit. I heard its footsteps chasing me to the stairwell. Adrenaline coursed through my veins as I raced up the concrete steps 2 at a time, the hooded person close behind. Finally, I got outside to the main station. Cops were everywhere due to what I found out to be a train accident. I ran to the closest officers, shouting about a madman chasing me below. 2 cops descended cautiously to the lower platform with guns drawn. When they returned, they said the place was empty. I insisted someone had been pursuing me wearing a black hood. The officers questioned if I saw them directly or just a fleeing figure in the shadows. With the platform deserted now, they took down my statement but seemed skeptical. I begged them to review security footage, certain it would show my attacker exiting. They agreed to file a report and follow up if any evidence emerged. But I could tell by their expressions they thought adrenaline had distorted my perception. Of course, there was no security video. That abandoned station had no cameras. With no solid suspect description or signs of crime, the cops eventually stopped responding to my anxious calls. But I knew what chased me. Someone was still out there orchestrating horrors under the name The End. I had to stop them with or without police help. I wished I had never picked up that eerie burner phone left behind. Whatever sinister plan was in motion, I seemed to be smack in the middle now. I tried my best to go back to normal routines, work, friends, errands, but I couldn't shake the lingering dread that it wasn't over. The end wasn't finished with me yet. My panic attacks started up any time I passed subway stations or heard trains in the distance. I was a mess at work and could barely leave my apartment, crippled by constant fear despite the brave front I put on. Deep down, I knew the mysterious countdown hadn't ended. The end was still coming for me and maybe others. And whatever that evil finish line held, I had to stop it before the clock ran out. But how could I stop something I barely understood? With the police dismissing it all, I was utterly alone in this, and I could feel that each passing hour brought me closer to some horrific reckoning set in motion from the instant I first read those chilling texts on that fateful Uber ride home. 2 days left until it arrives. Whatever it was, the end would make sure I found out, ready or not. I should have turned in that phone the moment I found it. Maybe then I could have avoided awakening this menacing force. But it was too late now. The countdown already reached 0 once, and when it starts again, my role may finally be clear in the most twisted way possible. But by then, it will already be too late for me, and maybe others. I still hear the phantom subway trains in my sleep sometimes, rumbling down those phantom tracks towards a final destination only one mystery caller knows. That hooded figure waits for me there patiently to fulfill my purpose. Maybe I imagined it all. Or maybe not knowing is the only thing keeping madness at bay as I wait for their return. Either way, the countdown embedded in my mind keeps ticking away, indistinct yet undeniable, drawing me toward revelation and retribution. Because the end is still coming, for me and for us all.